Right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Larry, for joining today. The podcast is called Turtle Optimist. Larry, you and I met in North Carolina running for or walking with a group in North Carolina called the Glass Jug. And so I just wanted you to kind of introduce yourself to everybody and just tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Larry, and I live in Durham, North Carolina. I've been here for over 40 years now, originally from New York, Rome, New York, and I am an avid runner and have been off and on for almost 50 years now. I started when I got out of the Army in 1974, 50 years ago, and I started running with the running boom of the 70s.
Hmm.
And now I'm running slower, but running, still running.
Awesome.
And we met at the Glass Jog a couple years ago
Yeah.
and have stayed in touch.
Tell me, what motivated you to start running?
A couple of things. I was out of the military, and I was a smoker. I quit smoking fairly quickly after leaving the military, and I was also unemployed for a while there back in the mid 70s. Had a
Hmm.
lot of time on my hands, and living with my parents in Rome, New York. And I got in with a group of mostly older guys in their 40s and 50s, running road races and training for half marathons and marathons. And it's a good, really good, friendly social group. And I appreciated they welcomed me in, and you know um, asked me along on long runs and with all kinds of jokes and fun. And yeah, I just like the camaraderie, the social
Hmm.
atmosphere.
Um, what is one of your most memorable running experiences?
uh, I guess my first marathon, 1976 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I was prepared going in, but I still had my doubts along the way, and I did things correctly, paced myself, and
Yeah.
finished that. And that was such a joyous feeling. And I knew right away then I was going to do more marathons, and I did. I did quite a few, and did well. I did the New York a couple times in the 70s, and others. But yeah, the first marathon is always memorable. And
Hmm.
then just as important was doing Boston a few times 20 years ago now. I qualified for Boston at the Richmond Marathon in 2003 and ran Boston the next 3 years.
Wow.
And it's always a big deal. Any runner will tell you,
Hmm.
seeing the Boston Marathon or running the Boston Marathon is wonderful, just
Right.
wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. How have you maintained your physical health and stamina over the years? Because you've been running for 50 years, so that's a
Yeah.
lot.
I must say, I there were about 15 years there where I didn't run at all. I was working in restaurants,
Hmm.
and I was working 65 hours a week, and I just gradually, in the mid 80s, I gradually stopped running,
Hmm.
and just was working, and didn't do races or half marathons. I In the 2002, I got a job in banking with BB&T, now Truist,
Hmm.
and suddenly I had all my weekends off, and um, a light came on over my head. Wow, you can start running again on weekends. So after 15 years, I started back up again in 2002, and made good. I was in my 50s at that time. Made good progress training,
Hmm.
and a year and a half, 2 years later, I ran Boston. So um,
Wow.
anybody out there, if you're in your 50s, that's a good time to start running. Early 50s, you can do a lot. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. How did you train? Like, did you just do that from the past and you knew how, or
Yeah, I knew how to do things. Some things had changed, like back in the 70s, we did not have the run walk theory of running a marathon. It was all, it was mostly do a whole lot of miles and a long run 3 weeks before the marathon and then tapering.
Hmm.
But a lot of people now, or most all the people that are recreational runners, employ the Galloway method of running and walking. And yeah, I did that and improved my diet for sure. Yeah.
What would you say was the diet changes that needed to happen for you to run again?
Uh, I cut back drastically on sodium,
Oh,
which is everywhere, and um, more lean meats instead of processed meats,
hmm.
chicken, turkey, fish, and I'm still avid fruit and vegetable person for sure.
What advice would you give younger runners who really want to sustain running, like have a longevity in their running careers?
Uh, get with a social group. Get with one or more groups that support groups and do runs on weekends with them or early morning with them, um, and get a plan and get advice. You might not you don't really need a coach as such, but look into different running plans. Talk to runners, marathon runners about what works for them. Yeah,
Yeah.
some people can young people can get by with fewer miles per week and doing a marathon with proper spacing of days off in between rest days. And
Have you faced any significant injuries or setbacks in your running career? And if so, how did you overcome them?
yeah, 2 years ago I fell while running one morning in my neighborhood,
Mm,
and it was pretty traumatic. My face hit the pavement as well as my forearm, um, pretty bad. I was spent 8 nights in the local Duke University Medical Center with a couple of surgeries, skin graft surgeries to my forearm and
mm,
facial surgeries. That was quite a setback for months and months. Uh, but I knew in the hospital I was going to get back to running. It took a while.
hmm.
Gradually, I got back, and I'm in my 70s now, a lot slower, but I did recover, and I'm running in senior games and enjoying all of that for sure. But yeah, that was pretty traumatic.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, but
Yeah.
thank you, Duke University Medical Center surgeons and nurses, and yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, I I overcame that. But like I said, I knew I was going to be somehow back to running,
Yeah.
slow but sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all right. That's all right.
yeah.
So you mentioned senior games. So what does that entail? And then what events do you usually participate in?
Well, the National Senior Games are every other year, the odd number years. Next year they will be in Des Moines, Iowa,
Hmm.
and you qualify the year before. This here is an even year; it's a qualifying year for 2005, and I will be. Hopefully, I qualified just recently in the 10K in the North Carolina games here in Cary, North Carolina, and I'll be if I choose to do so, and I probably will go to Des Moines and next
Hmm.
summer and participate in the 5K and the 10K distance runs. But yeah, that's I'll volunteer while I'm there for you know pickleball or something, or
Hmm.
track and field. And but I'll be doing the 5K and 10K, and I know a couple of runners in my hometown of Rome, New York, in my age group that are going to run all the track events because they qualified in New York State. So
Right.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
I'm still a member of Roman Runners and keep in touch with many people up there.
How has running impacted your mental health and well-being?
Uh, I think if I didn't run, I'd do something aerobic. But I think the important thing is something aerobic to get my juices flowing. And yeah, the only and the only rule I like to the only taboo I like is to remember is no politics whilst running.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of jokes and fun, and you don't have to do it every day, but it's a good thing to do regularly. Continuous aerobic exercise of some
Mm-hmm.
type. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You had mentioned that there were some changes in running. I believe the Galloway method is
Yeah.
what you said. So what other ways has running changed over the years that you've noticed?
Well, the shoe technology is amazing. I'm not one to speak to the specifics of it, but runners who have been running for all 50 years will say will note the differences in the shoe technology as well as apparel. Um, um,
Yeah.
we didn't have the protective garments in upstate New York running in the winter that we do now. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
sweat wicking garments, and we wore a lot of layers,
Right.
many layers. Yeah, it
Right.
was silly looking at times, but now there's all kinds of apparel technology available.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
as well as nutritional advice. There's more the science and nutritional advice has come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, back in the 70s, we didn't have Under Armour for there was it was
Mm-hmm.
like I said, a lot of layers and just protect yourself from the wind in the winter. And
Right.
now we have Under Armour, and that to me that's the most important thing to me personally over
Mm-hmm.
all the years. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What role has running played in your social life and like community involvement?
Well, in addition to the glass jog every Tuesday, our little social group of runners and walkers, I like to go and cheer runners on for marathon. I have cowbells and clapping devices, and I like to go to turnaround points and cheer people on,
Mm-hmm.
and let them know, encourage them. And sometimes if I'm running a local 5K or 10K, I'll carry my bell with me and ring it for everybody. Cheer the spectators too at times,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
encourage the spectators to make more noise.
Right.
That's always fun. Yeah.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
I realize all the events are early in the morning, so some of them are not quite awake yet.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, have to ring the bell to wake them up. Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
yeah.
What goals do you have still for your running career?
Wow, that's a good one. I to keep doing it, and especially the senior games, the local
Mm-hmm.
or the state senior games and national games, and to just to keep doing it. Yeah, and
Yep.
and to hear I do like it when people tell me, you inspire me, somebody in their 20s or 30s that yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sees us seniors finishing a 10K.
Yep.
Yeah, they genuinely they either say I could never ever do that, which they could if they wanted to, but
Right.
or they'll say you inspire me, and yeah, that's awesome, which
That's
is good.
great.
Yeah, it's
That's great. That's
it's
great.
a very wonderful relationship between fans and because any family member who has cheered their runner on in the cold wind of uh anywhere, yeah,
Right.
well, no, it's not easy being a father or a mother of a runner when they're
Mm-hmm.
out in the elements. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It gets cold out there. I have one final question, and it's more of a fun question. Music or no music when you're running?
Oh, I like music. No disco, please, never ever. Yeah, but yeah, rock and roll. I Anything that'll get me moving. Thank you so much, Jen.